What's up, everyone? So I've spent the last few years studying some of the world's most successful people. I've studied thousands just watching videos, books, and interviews. And I have put together 10 life hacks that will actually improve your life based off some of the most common threads I've found studying these people. So this isn't going to be one of those, BuzzFeed life hacks like, oh, if you do this, you don't have to clean the dishes. These will actually help improve the biggest, most important things in your life, like your career, your wealth, your happiness, your energy levels, your success, actually getting certain dream jobs or getting to where you want to go, basically. So let's just get started. Number one, the first thing that you can do is meditate for 5 to 10 minutes a day. It seems so simple. Like, how is that a life hack? It's a life hack because no one else does it, and there's a surprisingly large amount of people who meditate and are very successful. And it's very scary because these are all Western people. A lot of them you know really well. People like Robert Downey Jr., all the way to a billionaire hedge fund investor, Ray Dalio. I mean, he swears by meditation. So, can you succeed without it? Yes, but just start meditating 5-10 minutes a day. There's countless free tutorials online on YouTube and so forth. Number two, the second little hack you can start doing is exercising. So this goes along with the first one. There's a lot of science and scientific benefits to meditating and exercise, as you probably already know. And you're like, oh my goodness, exercise, of course. But here's my little mini hack. When I exercise, I do it in just very small spurts, 5 to 10 minutes a day. And that's really just for people who want to get the ball rolling. And that's the phase I'm in. So the reason I do that is because it starts forming the habit. And if I do an hour a day, as I've tried, I burn out and I end up staying 3 hours because I think I'm tough. And then I don't go again for 5 weeks. And that's not going to build the habit. So if you just start going to the gym, you can do that. The third life hack is one that goes, there's a lot of science behind it. Basically, you want to limit any sort of barriers to entry. So what I do is when I wake up, I have the gym clothes there all set up in a bag. So you do that the night before so that when you wake up, you don't have these small barriers to entry that put up excuses or require you to add more energy or willpower into your day, which prevent you from doing this. Because you already have it set up. You don't have to say, oh, I can't do it because I would have to spend time setting up and getting my gym equipment and clothes and going to the gym. So that's a little bit of a willpower and ease tactic. The fourth mini hack that I think is really crucial to hacking your life is using a website blocker. So I prefer this one that's it blocks all the social media websites. I have it right here, and it's called Strict Workflow. It's free. It's a Chrome extension on Google Chrome, which is a web browser I use. But there's thousands of free ones just like it. What it does is it basically blocks all the social media websites. And why it works so well is simply because I have found that I waste a ton of time on social media. So when I have that, it's one of those barriers to entries that you want. It prevents you from stopping. It works really well because it prevents you from wasting a ton of time on social media when you don't want to. And it's one of those things that most people will never tell you because some of them want you to be on YouTube because they have a YouTube channel and they want you to watch their YouTube video. And I'm kind of going against that, telling you, but I want to be honest and actually help you. And honestly, I waste a lot of time on YouTube and other social media platforms. That gets us to number 5. The fifth thing is track your time. How do I know I waste so much time on YouTube? I did this little life hack, and the basic idea is I got a notepad, and each time I switched tasks, I wrote down how long I spent on the task before I switched to another task. And I realized that I was spending 4 to 7 minutes here and there every 20 minutes going to YouTube or Twitter. And sometimes that would turn into an hour. And when you added it all up, it was a monstrous amount of time that you were wasting. So some people are scared to do this, but if you really want to rise above the masses who are literally are too scared to even look at how much time they're wasting, I've met and talked to these types of people. You have to own up to it. You have to face that fear. You have to catalog it. And when you realize, oh my goodness, I wasted 317 minutes today on different social media platforms, and it got me 0 results, just a bit of entertainment, you kind of have to figure out what you're doing wrong and how to fix it. And strict workflow has worked great in stopping me from doing that. Number 6, the 6th life hack is the Pomodoro Technique. So this technique, it works for some and it doesn't work for others. And strict workflow is a plugin that I found that actually combines the two. It blocks websites, but it also uses the Pomodoro Technique. So if you don't know what this is, it's a very well-known technique in the self-help and productivity community. And basically, it's really simple. You get a timer, and for 25 minutes, you can only do one task, and you can't do anything else. You can't slack off, and so forth. But then once that timer rings, you get 5 minutes of break time to do what you want, relax, chill. And the only rules are you're forced to take a break during those 5 minutes, and you're forced to focus on a task during those 25. And it's very strict on those time frames. It has to be 25 minutes and it has to be 5. So strict workflow actually has a Pomodoro function so that you can set it up to 25 minutes and 5-minute breaks. Personally, you know, I am always a bit skeptical, and there's always this advice. So I'm kind of ambivalent towards this whole Pomodoro technique, because it's like, who is actually successful that uses it? All the people I've met who use it are these thousands of self-help enthusiasts and nerds and geeks, and that's great and all, but how come no one really successful uses it? Nonetheless, it has been very useful, and I recommend it because it nonetheless correlates with what a lot of billionaires say, like Warren Buffett, Bill Gates. You want to identify the most essential things you do and drill down on just those things and ignore all the rest, all those other distractions. And the Pomodoro Technique arguably does that. The eighth thing that you can do to hack your way to a better life is a simple thing called taking people out to coffee. Now, this may seem like, what the heck? Why would that help at all? Well, this is one of those weird things that you find when you study a lot of super successful people. They recommend it a ton, and you don't just take anyone out for coffee. You can use LinkedIn or other services that are free to identify people who are successful. Now, they don't have to be billionaires. They could simply be that guy who lives in your local area who is maybe 1 or 2 job titles above where you are now and is in the direction where you want to be. Maybe he's at a company or industry that you admire, and he has a job that you admire or at least would be interested in. So go ahead and ask them, because most people don't. No one does, actually. And by doing this, you know, ask for 10 minutes or 15 because they're most likely really busy. You can really learn a lot about them and form a relationship. And from that, you can learn a lot through osmosis, because they will teach you so much stuff. 9. The 9th life hack I use is probably one of my best. I saved it for last for those who stuck around. This one is also really critical. Again, it's one of those buried in self-development. And it's the simple but effective life hack of using a lot of what I call drag time or wasted time. This is time that on the surface, just like social media, doesn't seem to, really waste a ton of time. But when it adds up on a daily, monthly, yearly basis, it adds up. These are things like standing in line to buy food, waiting for something, driving to work, driving to a grocery store. All those few minutes add up every single day. And essentially what I do is I have now learned to listen to audiobooks during that time. And I'm just very thankful and appreciative, and I think you should be too, that audiobooks are invented. So I'm very thankful we have this time and era where we can be more efficient. You know, I truly believe that some of the most successful people in history, they could have been more successful if they didn't waste all that drag time, because they didn't have audiobooks to learn from. And when you're at the gym or you're working out or whatever else, and you can't just, you know, pick up a book and read it, that's wasted time. So long story short, audiobooks are huge, and I've used that as well as listening to YouTube videos that are instructive, like this one, to really advance myself while other people just stand there in line. And if you go to any public location or any crowded restaurant, they literally waste 30 minutes just standing there in line, especially those like really high-end restaurants. That's cool and stuff if you want to stand in line at a nightclub and waste 30 minutes to an hour of your day. And it doesn't have to be through audiobooks. There's always some way to be more productive, because your time on earth is very short. You have to be as productive as possible. Sometimes that means striking up a conversation with the person in front of you to develop your social skills, maybe form a friendship, network, whatever it is. 10th life hack. Let's get down to the last life hack that I want to share with you today. The 10th life hack is write things down with a notebook. Now, there's a lot of psychology and science behind this, and the point though is goal setting is one of those huge things I found is incredibly useful to succeed. And I found a few things that correlate to writing it down beats just thinking it up in your head or typing it onto something digitally. So what I do is I write down my goals at least twice a day, when I wake up and when I go to sleep. And then I write them in a very specific way that it's beyond the scope of this video, but it's through a Napoleon Hill type way, Think and Grow Rich style. But the basic idea though is that if you write down your goals, it really aligns you to where you should be headed and what you should be doing on a daily and weekly basis. I would say most people never write down their goals. In the last year, you can ask them. I don't think they've ever done it. And I think there's a certain magic of writing it down with a pen and paper. And there's this one study, and they tracked people who wrote down their goals versus those who just had it in their head versus those who didn't have goals. And they tracked them throughout their life after college. Guess what? The ones who wrote down their goals succeeded and actually achieved them, while the others just nothing really happened to them. Most of them just like wandered through life and didn't achieve any goals in comparison. So the point is, at least try it out. Try writing down your goals with a notepad or piece of paper. And I also make sure to do this when I take notes for books. So I've resorted back to writing it on a pen and paper rather than typing it straight into the computer. In Richard Branson, he's a billionaire, in his latest book, The Virgin Way, he talks about how he is still, after all these years, the only person who brings a notepad and pen to meetings. And everyone else never takes any notes. He's always the one who does it, and he credits it to a lot of his success, because when he has those things in writing, you know, you can never forget them. And he, as well as countless others, have told stories about how this guy forgot something, even though he had a super extensively good memory. So you never know if you miss something. And because of that, he was able to catch a lot of people who try to trick him or change terms of service later on, because he had it in writing. And he says that most people don't do it. It's the simplest of things. And as you'll see with all of these life hacks I've shared with you, they're all fairly simple and fundamental. But that's the scary thing. Most people don't do it. When's the last time you exercised? When's the last time you meditated? When's the last time you wrote down your goals? Thanks for watching, and of course, I'll see you next week. If you're new to this channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button below this video for free video updates when I release new videos. And of course, if you want the extensive details that I can't go into detail on in this video, go ahead and check out my blog, which is linked below this video. I'll see you guys later. Peace.